Yo, what up? My name is Mr. V, and this is the origin story on how I created the song Jus Dance. I'm gonna say it was the year 2000, 2001. I was living in Brooklyn, New York, in Sunset Park to be exact. I think I was living there probably like on my fourth year living there. I was working at a marketing agency at the time, and I just left working at MAW Records. I did 5-6 years interning at MAW Records for Kenny Dope and Louis Vega from 1994 until 2000 or 99. I was still working with them, traveling with them, carrying crates of records and stuff like that. And then I started being Louis Vega's light guy. And I would travel with him around the globe while doing lights for him and/or, helping assist them carry records on the road. At the time I started writing Jus Dance, I was already partnering up with a fellow New Yorker by the name of Alex Alvarez. And we were doing parties in New York called Soul Channel Saturdays. How that came about was an event that happened in New York. And apparently Alex didn't get to DJ at that event and was frustrated that he didn't get his chance to play. And at the time he was coming up as well, he was literally completing a song with Arnold Jarvis. I forgot the name of the song. Something Rising into Joy, I'm gonna say, was the first record that they were working on. And Alex was an intern at Bass Hit Studios in Manhattan, I believe on 23rd and Broadway, or 6th. I could be wrong, one of the two, I think 6th. And Alex was already a genius in terms of producing. He went to school for audio engineering and he was already on his way. I caught the bug for making records when he showed me his MPC 2000, his Akai MPC 2000 XL. It was a machine about this big. I'll leave a picture right here if it pops up. And that was the machine that Alex used. And he showed me the record that he was working on that machine with Arnold Jarvis called Rising into Joy. And I was hooked, straight up hooked. I was focused. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And I couldn't believe how the way he was constructing this record and making it come to life. I believe I caught the bug right there. I told him I was interested in learning about producing and all this other stuff, and we had a lot in common. We connected instantly. And when I was with him at the gig where he didn't get to DJ, I told him not to concentrate on that, and that I found a small bar on Avenue A on the Lower East Side called Route 85A. And we decided to get together, and I told him about, this idea that I have of a party called Soul Channel. And Soul Channel stood for soul as in the foot. You have the sole of the foot, and the channel meaning when you're on TV, there's channels that we watch with different things on. It was just every time you change the channel, something different you would see or hear. So that's where the whole premise of Soul Channel came from. And we decided to run with that. And he became my partner in this residency. Every Saturday, we call this Soul Channel Saturdays. And we did this absolutely free, like literally free, from 10 p.m. to 4 in the morning, every single Saturday from, I'm gonna say about 4 or 5 years. And we grew very close when this came to be, and when we got this party going. We've had guest DJs like E-Man, Louis Vega was a guest. I believe we had Charisma as a guest. We have performances by Keith Thompson. God, just so many people, man. I'll be honest, I'm kind of, thinking of all the guests that we have, and please forgive me if you're watching the video and I didn't mention you as a guest that we had, but we pretty much had everybody come through and rock with us, including so many performances. CG was another one who was a new artist, and we had him perform with us. It was a small place, but it was the spot to be at. And once again, it was free on Avenue A. You know, it wasn't big, but it worked. The sound system wasn't a big sound system, but it was a sound system, and it was what we dealt with, and it was incredible. So as we connected on this party, I got to know more about the production side of things. Alex already had a computer, and he was already starting to work at home and in Bass Hit Studios on his off time to start making records and producing records. I couldn't go to the studio and sit down with him there and learn. The first thing Alex told me to do is to buy my own drum machine, the same exact one, so at least, you know, he can kind of teach me how to navigate the machine, and then I could fly from there. So he was basically helping me get my wings. So I decided to quit my job at the marketing agency and take out my 401k, which was about $7 to $8 grand. And I really didn't have credit yet, so taking that money out helped me put it into my bank account and helped me open up a American Express card, which is where the name Mr. V came from. I was filling out an American Express card brochure, and there's boxes that say Mr., Mrs., whatever, and I checked Mr. and I put V, and I went to the bathroom real quick, and when I came back, I looked at the brochure, and when I was going to continue, I saw it, and I was like, there it is, Mr. V. And that's how the name came to be. I filled out the American Express brochure, and I got my first credit card. On top of that, my ex-wife at the time, Miss Patty, got a Guitar Center card. She opened up her credit on Guitar Center, and immediately the first thing I bought with the American Express card was the Akai MPC XL 2000. I bought a M Audio MIDI keyboard, which was about this big, 32 keys. Bigger than this actually, but 32 keys of that. I bought a Roland XV 2020, and I had a Roland VS 1880 because I couldn't afford a computer. While Alex was already moving on to having his first Logic Tower, I had to stick to what I could afford because I didn't really, at the time, these Apple and Mac computers were very expensive. You know, it wasn't like now where you could pretty much own one at a super affordable price. It was a lot more pricey, and you had to kind of be geeky to know what you were doing at the time. This is early 2000s, okay? So before I got these pieces of equipment, I asked advice. I remember speaking to Frankie Feliciano, and at the time he had a laptop, and he was working off of a Mac laptop. And for those of you who don't know, Frankie Feliciano is a prolific house producer from Brooklyn, New York, who's made some incredible records. I'm pretty sure if you could Google him, or just right here on YouTube, if you search his name, you can see all the hit records he's done. Plus, I've known him since Sound Factory Bar. He's basically known me before I've even become Mr. V. And he's seen me do lights for Louis Vega and become an intern. So when I spoke to him about that, he suggested for me to go the Roland VS 1880 route, since I didn't know how to produce it all. He felt like using these pieces would work. And he was exactly right. I purchased a Shure SM, this microphone right here. I don't know if you guys could see it in the video, but it's a Shure SM, I'm gonna say 27. Let me see something. Yes. It's a Shure SM, SM27. And I picked that up, and it is the microphone that I still use today to record vocals with, till this day. It is the very same microphone that you hear my voice on for every record you hear right now. It is the same microphone. I never changed my microphone. I've heard about so many different great microphones, but I live by a theory. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's what I decided to do, and not fix it. I had these pieces, and that's all I had. With these 5 pieces, and when I say 5, you have to add a SCSI drive to it. And a SCSI drive is like a giant floppy disk at the time that we had to use. And it was it was a substantial part to getting all the drum kits inside. Remember, I didn't have a computer, so all the SCSI drives that we were using had drum kits in them, and that's how we would get our drums, along with the Roland XV2020 with the expansions that I had. But you know, I was sampling at the time and learning how to sample within the Akai MPC 2000. So I got all the pieces and I'm ready to write. Once again, at the time, during, I'm gonna say 99 all the way until 98, all the way until 2000, 2001, 2002, Louis Vega had this party every Wednesday in New York City at this club called Vinyl, and it was called Dance Ritual. And he needed a host, and I wound up being the host for that, getting on the microphone, introducing the live acts. Once they were off stage, you know, letting people know who they was, and then back to Louis. I got so accustomed to that, being on the microphone and doing it in front of large crowds, that I just got used to just, you know, being the voice of the event every Wednesday. And it wasn't until I got into the studio that I really started to see that I can do something with what I have here. I remember being home, I finally got the microphone, and I wanted to write about what I saw in the clubs. And this was my reflection of what I saw every Saturday at this party that I did lights for at Club Vinyl. And the party, I forgot what it was called, but it was Stretch Armstrong was in the back of the Club Vinyl and Louis was on the main room. And like I said, at the time, I was his light guy. So I already knew the music and everything that he was playing. And this party would start at 10 o'clock and we would not go home till 11, 12, maybe 1 in the afternoon sometimes. Sometimes noon, sometimes 1 in the afternoon from being there. And I would be there all day. And I got to witness for about 2, 3, 4 years, I got to witness dancers religiously every single week would come out and support Louis or whoever was playing at the time, Frankie Feliciano, or, you know, sometimes he would have special guests cover him because he was traveling. And, you know, these dancers would come to this club either direct from work or direct from home with a giant book bag. And in that book bag consists of a change of clothes to dance in, which was sneakers, jogging pants, and a shirt that they could get sweaty off of. And then they would have their own water sometimes, and a giant bottle or a small bottle of baby powder. And that was the literal kit for a house dancer at the time. I'm not sure if it's still like that now, but that's what it was back then. And they would come in, go directly to the bathroom, change up with the same book bag, and stuff the book bag inside the speaker, which were these giant Bertha subs that would be in the clubs. I'm not sure which system Vinyl had. I don't know if it was a GSA or I don't know, a Gary Stewart system or a Steve Dash system, but it was a system and it would kick ass. And people would stuff their bags in there. Remember, we went through all the seasons in New York, you know, and when it was wintertime, it was a combination of coats and book bags inside the speakers. And although it wasn't the right thing to do, really couldn't say anything when it was a full house. And they would start the night. It was a sight to see that when you started DJing and when you look out on that dance floor and you see pockets of people just dancing to what you're doing, and people are trickling in and seeing this, it starts to make everyone else feel okay to just wiggle a little or dance a little, even if you didn't know how to house dance. Those house dancers broke like if you didn't know anything about this and you went to the club and you just learning about it, it would make you vibe because everyone else is vibing, and you wouldn't feel like you don't know what you're doing because other people are just vibing with you. It would make you dance because that's what house dancers would do. They would break the ice. That's called ice breaking. You know, people weren't standing against the wall when there was 5, 10, 15 people already moving and doing their own thing. You know, and this is also how circles were formed in the club. You have your pockets of people dancing at their own, but then there was a giant circle with just one person showcasing and then another person showcasing and so on and so forth. And this is what house dancers would do. So I would come home, and I came home on a Sunday and I wrote, "This is the way we dance. This is the way we feel inside. My mind, your mind. This is the way we groove. We feel the funk, the soul in our minds, in our bodies." And I just kept writing. And I remember making the beat, and I remember doing the keyboard stabs. I didn't know really how to play. I just felt what I was hitting was working and was in key. And then the same thing with the bass. Those sounds came from the Roland XV 2020. That's where those sounds came from. Everything from the Rhodes solo to the actual Rhodes you hear, to the drum sounds, to the conga hit, everything came from the Roland XV 2020. All those sounds came from that. And I remember writing it, and I remember building it, because at the time, when I would hear Louis play records, every record he would play would have a build-up. You know, start off with drums, and then the keys will get introduced, and then the bass gets introduced, and then all the elements come in, and then there was a closeout. You know, and that's how build-ups were made at the time, and how he showed me how, you know, while he was DJing, basically showing me how, you know, house records were done. And then that was it. I remember taking it to Alex's house, who lived in Queens, New York. And, you know, I let him hear it, and he liked it, and he mixed it. He's the one that mixed it for me to make sure that it sounded good and sounded ready as a demo. And it was time to shop it. And I remember I had a record previously before Jus Dance called Deep House Music that came out on Reconstruction label, which was Frankie Feliciano's label. Initially, that was supposed to come out on Vega Records, and that was the record I was going to pitch to Louis Vega. But while he was asking me for records, because I told him I was making records, Jus Dance, I felt wasn't ready yet. It was, to me, in its demo stages. And when you get Louis to ask you for a demo, you know, remember, Louis is a legend. You know, this guy's huge. This is my boss asking me, at the time, my boss asking me to give him a demo. And I didn't want to let him down, so that I give him a demo that wasn't finished. And I thought, you know, he wouldn't appreciate it. This is a guy who deals with house music that has so many musical elements. Meanwhile, when you listen to Jus Dance, it's so stripped of everything that he knows, and it's so simple. I didn't think he would like it. So I give Deep House Music to Frankie Feliciano. He takes it, and I hold on to Jus Dance to see if I give him the demo. And we're at the Winter Music Conference. I'm going to say this is 2002, 2003. He was staying at the Cardozo, the Casa Grande on Ocean. And I go visit him, and I got the CD in my hand, and this is the same demo that Alex mixed for me. And I'm nervous, my palms are sweaty. I go into his room, his hotel room. He opens the door. The guy who got me the job to intern at Masters at Work, Ralphie Boy, shout out to Ralphie Boy Muniz. He's there answering phone calls on his phone while Louis is on a phone call. And I give Louis the CD while he's on the phone call. He takes the CD, takes it out while he's on the call. puts the CD inside the CD player, this giant Pioneer. He has one of the old school ones that were big. And he hits play on this tiny speaker and the track is playing while he's on the phone. And I'm sitting there, just kind of like the way I am now. And I'm just pacing and waiting to see what he says. And he's still talking and the track is still going. Immediately, I think he don't like this. I'm cooked. I got to come up with something else to try to give him something. So the track is playing. Halfway through the track, before it reaches the keyboard solo, he gets off the phone and he's listening to it, and he goes to one of his crates while listening to it, and he's dumping records, getting ready to do the MAW Records party at Opium Garden at the time. And while he's stuffing records, he's listening to it. The keyboard parts come in, the solo comes in, everything, the whole shakers, everything, you know, the whole build up to that big point of that record comes in. And he closes his record bin, the CD finishes, and he goes, "It's good." And I said, "What do you mean it's good?" And he said, "It's good. I like it. I'm gonna test it tonight." And I said, "What do you mean you're gonna test it tonight? It's not even done yet. It's a demo. It's not mastered or mixed." He goes, "Yo, no, it's finished." And I was like, "What do you mean it's finished? There's no hi-hat. There's no real build-up. It's just and he looked at me and he said, "Listen to me. I've been doing this longer than you. It's finished. When I tell you it's finished, it's finished. And you need to understand something." And I till this day, he said, "Less is more." And this is a perfect example of that less is more. And I said, "Okay, all right." And he was like, "We're gonna try it tonight. And if it works tonight, then I'm signing it." And I said, "Okay, cool." So we go to Opium Garden, and I'm with Willie Ninja, the late great Willie Ninja, doing the door. He was hosting the door, and I was his backup with the guest list at the time. Like I said, I was still kind of interning with MAW and still doing work for them. And I remember Doris, who still does the merch for Louis Vega till this day, comes up to me and says, "Hey, Louis playing your demo and the crowd likes it. I think you got one." And I said, "Oh, really?" I was like, and I kind of brushed it off because I didn't think nothing, And then I remember Doris coming back again, maybe like 2 hours later, and he played it again, the demo. And then when she came up to me, I'll never forget this. There's a DJ by the name of Lucho, who's from the Bronx, comes up to me and says, "Yo, kid, that's your record called Jus Dance? Yo, you got to give me a copy, man. I love that, man. Louis played that twice already." And I was like, "Wow, okay, thanks." It's my first one. I didn't expect anything. And then Phil D from Dance Tracks at the time came up to me and told me the same thing, that he loved the record. He loved the demo that Louis played. And I said, "Okay, cool. Okay, we got something." So then he plays it a third time. At the very end of the night, he plays it to just wrap up the Masters at Work party. And then multiple people come up to me asking me about it. And then when I go to the DJ booth to speak to him, he said he's signing it and that we'll speak during the week and that he's picking it up. And that's going to be part of the new Vega Records label that he was starting at the time. And that was it. He picked it up, and then he spoke to me about making an album. And that's when I started to work on my first album called Welcome Home. That's this album right here. And this is when I started working on this album. And this album consists of let me see here. Yeah, 11 tracks, am I right? Yes, we're looking at 12 tracks on this album. And this is when I did it. And this has Jus Dance on it, Something with Jazz, all the records that I was working on. Some of it on the MPC and the Roland VS 1880. And some of it with computers, because once Jus Dance took off, I pretty much started making some of my money back. And then I started pouring it into investing into my career and pushing into making more music. And then I started the label Soul Channel Music, which I'll talk about in another video. But that's how Jus Dance was created. Everything that I wrote about was through experience, and through what I saw in the club and what I loved about seeing in club dancing. And if it wasn't for house dancers and the club kids, Jus Dance would not have existed. And I would have never made that record if I didn't experience and see what I saw in the clubs. So yeah, shout out to all the dancers out there. And thank you for watching the making of Jus Dance. I'll talk soon. Peace.